So the first thing I want to say is no one is creating big DB plans anymore. So large companies are not creating them. You don't have AT&T, GM, Ford, all those creating new DB plans. DB plans are for small business owners. That's where the benefit is, and that's where they're being created because they offer an opportunity to create a significant nest egg that truly can replace their lifestyle while being funded by tax deductions, quite frankly. Depending on where you live, the income bracket you're in, the tax deduction could be up to 50%, especially here in California when you count federal and state income taxes. And since this is normally the last tax deduction item that someone's considering, the incremental tax rates could be 40 and 10%, federal and state, so 50%. So let me tell you about a couple of recent case studies that we've done. We had a husband and wife team. They were paying themselves about $95,000 from their business. They had no employees, and they wanted to set up a defined benefit plan. Like a lot of small business owners, they really hadn't been saving for the future. They'd been putting some stuff in an IRA and things along that line. And they wanted to front load it because, he was in his early 60s, she's in his late 50s, and they want to be able to have something besides the value of their business because they weren't certain how well they could sell that business. A lot of times owner-only businesses are hard to sell. Maybe just sell the book of the business, but it's hard to sell much else. And so we designed a plan, front loading it, that paying themselves $95,000, being in their early 60s and late 50s, allowed them to get up to a $450,000 contribution in year one. Now, the future contributions will be less if they maximize, but they'll still be significant. And so this is incredible for them because they had been paying a lot in taxes. They've been doing okay for themselves, and they had $450,000 in profits to soak up after salaries and wages and other expenses. We have another situation. It was another owner-only plan. She had been paying herself about $80,000 a year, W-2 wages, an escort, and we were able to. And she wasn't quite wanting to do the large, but we were able to design a plan for her that put up to $200,000 a year. Again, she probably could have done more given her age and compensation, but that was sufficient, for the cash flow needs of the business. And then we have, some with employees, and that's where we come back to the DB combo with a DC plan or cash balance combo with a defined contribution plan. And they had about 10 employees. They had a profit target that they were trying to stop paying taxes on. And so we designed the plan where the owners were getting about $100,000 each in this case, a cash balance plan. The employees were probably getting about $25,000, among the employees for in the cash balance plan, and then they were getting 7% in the DC plan. It made everybody happy. And they used to have significant turnover because it was a retail business, and their turnover stopped because these employees were not going to go to another store and receive a 7% contribution into their 401k plan, and as well as a cash balance plan. And so really they started having employees stay around a long time, and they enjoyed that aspect of it too, because as they were trying to grow the business and ultimately sell it, they were able to sell it with a knowledgeable team behind them. And they just went through the selling process and closed at the end of last year. So it worked out well for everybody. And of course, when they go to sell the business, these expenses get added back. The way I like to talk about it is this is a way to extract tax-deferred wealth from your business without affecting the value of the business, because the new owner is not going to maintain the DB plan. So they look at the EBITDA and they add back those pension and 401k expenses and decide what they're going to do later on for the employees. But they add those back because that's not something that they're definitely going to do in the future. So you get to extract the money, you get a tax deduction, and you get to not affect the value of your business. It's really cool.